Hi, so just wrapped up a project I wanted to recap in case it's helpful for anyone else. Did a couple of things, drained all the coolant out of here, and there is a good video for just doing that in general that another person makes. You'll find that one by doing any kind of basic searching on E28 coolant change. I actually was replacing the radiator hoses also, and the radiator because the other one was really banged up. I think it was the original. Didn't want to mess with trying to flush it and clean it. Thought I would start fresh. New hoses from Ireland Engineering, a new water pump from Turner, and new fan belts, and I'd already replaced the fan clutch. And a couple of important parts here, well, one particularly, the coolant temperature sensor right here. I had an issue where the car was dying after warming up for about 10 minutes, and it was really consistent. Felt like it was definitely related to a temperature increase, and then at a certain point maybe send some bad information to the ECU. So anyway, I replaced the coolant temperature sensor, and I believe now that it's all back together that was the problem. It doesn't die anymore. Also, this thermal valve, which also called a purge valve, was missing the outer connection here, which goes up to this piece that will open up and pull air in from the charcoal canister for the fuel tank fumes to be burned off. Some people don't even have those, or they cap them off. I went ahead and I already had replaced all the vacuum lines, so went ahead and just hooked it back up, and had to find one of these from a guy online on Facebook because they are no longer available. Really hard to find. Also replaced the high and low temperature sensors for the AC fan, the condenser fan up front, the electric fan that's behind the grill. Let's see what else. That is in the fan shroud. My original radiator did not have a shroud on it, so I went ahead and ordered one of those to help funnel the air through it. Anyway, that's the high level of it. The hoses really was, they had the green fluid in here before. I wanted the proper blue fluid, so really started by there's a screw at the bottom of the radiator on the passenger side. Drain that out as much as it will come out, plug it back up, add some more distilled water into here, and then do it again. Repeat that till the water is no longer very green. Once I had done that several times, I think it was like 6 or 7 gallons worth, then I started removing the radiator hoses. I think I started with the one right here that kind of snakes up from the bottom, and then once that was free of fluid, I did this one and this one and this one over here. This one snakes down and it goes under the manifold, and actually it's hard to see, but it comes to a T, and one of the pieces comes up here, another one goes to the firewall, I believe for the heater probably. And anyway, I wanted to get all the green out of the engine as much as I could, and get the radiator out of there, flush out as much as I could, then start removing parts so that I'm not leaving much green in the engine. Then when I got everything back together, put the blue in and burp it, as they say. This screw right here, while it's running, you just loosen that till fluid starts to run out, and then tighten it again. It's an 8mm, I believe. And what else? These little rubber bushings here were all crumbled, so I bought some new ones of those. That was really about it. New fan belts as well down there, and I ended up painting the pulley for the fan because it was pretty crummy looking. Trying to clean it up in here. So anyway, it's that was that project. That was probably about a day and a half of messing with all of that. A little nerve-wracking. Hadn't done that before. Also for the water pump down here, I ended up, so it came with a paper gasket, and I haven't done any gasket work in a long time. Read in the forums, did some research, ended up going with the Permatex water pump specific gasket maker, which I got at AutoZone, and it worked great. What I did was, because I wasn't sure whether to do just the Permatex or paper and Permatex, and if I did paper and Permatex, you put it on both sides of the paper. Anyway, after a lot of going back and forth, ended up doing a real thin layer of Permatex on the water pump itself, then the paper gasket, then another small thin layer of Permatex on top of that. And then also beforehand, on the engine block, I cleaned it off as much as I could. I used a Dremel with a wire brush to go over it to make it as smooth as I possibly could. There are some really tiny pit marks on there if you zoomed in with a camera, and I thought the Permatex might be better for that kind of situation than just a paper gasket. So what you do is do the layering like I said, and then you'll hand tighten the water pump on, just enough to hold it on where the gasket material starts squeezing out on the sides a little bit, and then you stop. You don't tighten it with the socket, and you wait for 1 hour, and after an hour come back and you snug it to torque, and then you wait 24 hours, full 24 hours. After that, that's when I started adding in the new blue coolant, and that way it's all hardened. None of that gasket material is going to come off into the fluid. So did it, by the directions, and it worked great. Not a drop of radiator fluid. One thing where I did have a major leak, I'd completely forgotten to tighten the hose clamp down there. It was just, I put the hose on and then did the top one and then just somehow forgot that. So that was a bit of a mess. And then I had to tighten one of these sensors just barely. Those don't have to go on very tight at all. And that was it. I mean, it's done great. Also washed this out, took the sensor off, just unscrewed this, cleaned it out a bunch. There's a lot of black junk in here. Used a wire brush, got as much as I could, put some Dawn soap in there and sloshed it around with hot water. Really tried to clean it, as good as I could, but there are so many compartments in there that it's really hard. I've almost considered just buying a new one. They're about $120, but I think it'll be all right. All right, I think those are all the main points with it. It really wasn't bad at all. The radiator dropped in nicely, and the fan shroud, I'll put the fan shroud on first, then the fan. I thought for some reason I could come up from below or twist it on. No, you got to put that on first and then the fan. Also, if you've never taken off your fan before, there are 2 wrenches that you use that one hooks onto the bolts of the pulley, and the other one is a real thin wrench to let you unscrew it. Of course, it unscrews clockwise to loosen it. Works really well. It's like $15 for the set of those tools online. I will link to all the things that I've replaced here in case anybody is interested. This is a 1985 535i, produced in October of 1984. So that's the motor and everything I'm working with here. All right, I think that mostly covers it. So any questions, feel free to put them below and I'll answer them if I'm able to. Thank you.